What are the bare minimum ingredients you need to craft the ideal horror experience? Is it the story, the characters, is it a horrendous looking creature, or is it all of that intertwined together into this? See, good horror is subjective. If I say Silent Hill 2 is the greatest horror game of all time, there's absolutely no way for me to prove that. Alfred Hitchcock famously said, "There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it." What this really means is that if you do just enough to get the audience thinking that something bad is about to happen, you can get them to anxiously hold on to that insinuation until the climactic moment. And there doesn't necessarily have to be one. Silent Hill 2 works the audience by implying horror. This does not mean that the game lacks actual horror value and just uses make-believe tactics instead. Rather, it's more about the subtle and incomplete communication between Silent Hill 2 as a medium and you, the player. In the first 15 minutes, the game deliberately lets you wander without much of a directive until you face any actual threat. This is all the way from the shitter where James is seen reading Mary's letter.
I got a letter.
To the discovery of the first monster. In between, you are tasked with uneventfully walking down a forestry path where all you can hear is the metallic ambience and the grunting sounds of things. But the build-up is designed to mislead you. It forces you to anticipate problems that are only true for an imagination that runs on a typical understanding of the horror genre. And instead of facing something straight out of the ninth circle of hell, James ends up meeting Angela, which I guess is just about the same thing. Horror is implied throughout the game in an unguessable pattern. Implication is the keyword here because the game drip feeds you with uncertainty. After getting introduced to the nightmarish setting, James is prompted to stick his arm right up the ass of Silent Hill itself. I believe this is a very profound moment in the history of gaming, by the way. Before proceeding, you're confident that this will not end well for both James or his arm. You're almost expecting an encounter with something. You don't know what it is, but your brain is already hallucinating enormous health bars. And then nothing happens. A repetition of this technique is when James enters the prison bathroom. If you've played this game even once, then you know that a big chunk of this town is going to be inaccessible. If you're able to get into a room, then it has to have some meaning to it, even if it's just to hand you some memos. The game wants to imply that something is there when you enter that prison bathroom. So you walk up to the stalls, knock on the last one, with absolutely no resolution to the act. As you're walking back, however, in different situations, the game also makes use of out-of-place sounds to get you thinking. Like when you use the house key and enter an empty room where you hear whispers. Or in the prison yard where you hear a horse galloping but never really see one. More on the sounds and the atmospheric presence in a future video. Please do consider subscribing. Putting this together was a pain. I'd much rather stick my arm up Silent Hill's ass.